The timer is going on the Dallas Stars. 10-minute preview. They have not yet changed the NHL's worst jerseys as of this recording.
You're so dug in on that.
It's not only is it me, but Wyshynski backed me up on ESPN. So I feel like if ESPN's in on it, then I feel like I'm pretty good about that.
Well, if ESPN jumped off a bridge, would you?
It'd be a very profitable bridge, I'm sure.
Wow.
The Dallas Stars are kind of the rare squad that has all of their picks and nobody else's for the next 3 years. If you look at them on Cap Friendly, it's quite satisfying. So these
clean
3 clean lines. Nick Robertson's brother Jake is going to look to take a step forward after. Jason. Excuse me. I don't know why I said Jake.
Hey, I called him the wrong position. It happens to the best of us.
You know why? Because Jake Pavelski's name is under him in my notes. But he was one of the
Joe.
runners. What is wrong with me? This is not about the Stars. This is me about not knowing anybody's friend. I'm going to say only last names from now on.
Jake. They're all Jake.
And Jake Huldobin and Jake Holtby.
I think one of the biggest question marks around the Stars is Jake Bishop.
So Nick Robertson's brother, Jason Robertson, is going to hopefully take the next step after being one of the runners-up for Rookie of the Year, which went to Kaprizov.
Really good.
Joe Pavelski, can he continue to defy Father Time? Anton Hudobin and Braden Holtby are the goalie tandem until Ben Bishop can come off the IR.
I think it's more important that they defy Father Time.
Actual Jake Ottinger might be that goalie who steps in and takes one of those spots.
They have like 4 goalies.
Yeah,
they do. So that is interesting. So Braden Holtby signs with the Canucks. It doesn't work out. They buy him out.
Yeah, the whole season doesn't work out for them.
Yeah, no, the Canucks was a bad year, and we'll get to that. But with Holtby, Hudobin you have to think is going to take the majority of the game if it's those two. This might be a good situation where he can rehab his career. The $2 million is like a token. Hey man, you won the Stanley Cup.
This is Holtby.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'll give you $2 million. But listen, if he can't get it done this year, where's he? Is he playing for above what Carter Hutton's playing for in Arizona next year?
Oh boy!
Like if he comes in and is a liability again. Washington, Vancouver, and then Dallas.
He might be out of the league.
Yes.
You might just choose to retire at that point. I'm Braden Holtby. I've made millions of dollars. I got my cup ring. Why am I going to insert blank team for...
In the KHL.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, what for? Mm-hmm. I'll simply retire. But despite everything and COVID and injuries on goaltending and everything, Dallas was one of the top 10 defensive teams in the NHL. Last year. And
made a push for the playoffs late. And I was right on that train. I'm like, these guys are going to do it. They couldn't score, though. No. We'll get to that in a second, though. But Jesse, you brought up Ottinger. And this is interesting because Ben Bishop is still on the IR after complications that arose from his surgery following the 2020 Stanley Cup Finals. So he didn't play last year.
No.
And then you got Hudobin and Holtby. If this Ottinger guy steps in and can do this, what do you do if Ben Bishop comes back? I guess that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
It's a great problem. It's always good to have an abundance, right?
Right.
In the NHL. And I think a goaltending trade seems somewhat imminent, right? They're also in a wicked position where I believe Ottinger can go up and down.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
great.
That's very few teams have 3 guys deep without having to worry about waivers. Like you got.
Well, look at that.
The Leafs lose a goalie every year.
Yeah,
and they might again this year. Right? The Stars don't have that problem.
And this is the perfect way to develop any NHL player is when his position is jam-packed with veterans above him.
And he's got to push.
And there's no pressure on him to perform because there are people in the spot already. You're not throwing him to the wolves. And if Ottinger steps in and has one of the 2 roles in the Dallas Stars, then that's just a bonus.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, Joe Pavelski, not Jake. Joe Pavelski, when that deal was signed, when he left San Jose, there was a lot of eyebrows raised.
I thought it was horrible.
3-year deal, seven something million, crazy money.
And he's been
point a game.
Unbelievable.
51 and 55 last year.
Can he do it again?
Honestly, might be the best net front guy in the league.
Yeah.
And he perfectly. You talk about a signing that nails what a team is. It's perfect. And the Stars are. We talk a lot about the Montreal Canadiens being a team. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but if they do, it's going to be trouble.
Dallas.
That's Dallas. But I don't know. I kind of actually think they're better.
And the where they
Montreal.
struggled last year was their offense, and their offense didn't have Sagan or Radulov. Sagan played 3 games all of last year. Radulov played 11 games. So they just get 2 guys for free back on their rosters when they're great defensively, and then now they have this goaltending trio that could be amazing, and then now they get 2 top scorers back.
And that's such a thing with the Blackhawks narrative that they get Taves back. That's kind of Sagan with Dallas. Played 3 games.
Yeah, and you have somebody who's not further along the aging curve as Taves is.
Yeah. And let us not forget, too, that Dallas was, I believe, the first team to completely shut it down with COVID last year. They had an outbreak in the dressing room. And so that, I mean, like I think we talked about it when the St. Louis Blues didn't go very far in the 2020 Bubble Cup,
right,
as we should call it from now on. I think Doug Armstrong came out after and said, I think 20% of the team had gotten COVID. And what does that do to you physically? You can imagine what it did to the Dallas Stars.
And it wasn't just the COVID outbreak. I didn't know this until I think it was I was listening to the DFO podcast they had on Andrew Cogliano. And the players were also affected by that giant snowstorm that hit Texas, and they weren't prepared for it, and there were giant
power outages
and everything. And through all of that, and the bumps and bruises of going to the Stanley Cup final, not having a very long off season, going into the winter, and your season immediately stops before it starts. Despite all that, they still came this close to making it. That's a resilient team.
A big question is going to be, can Roope Hintz be the center that scores a point a game like he did last year?
Another guy who was out a lot.
Can you do that for 82 games?
He's an animal.
He is. So can he do it for 82?
Yeah, I think it takes a long time for a guy to earn the tag of injury prone, and I don't think he's earned it. I assume every player is going to be healthy until proven otherwise. I think he'll be great.
And something people forget, and I think this just makes the Dallas Stars even more frustrated to play. Like you said, wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs. Ryan Suter is a Dallas Star. Like, as though this defensive core wasn't good enough. And here's the thing. This team plays great team defense. They all commit. You see it all the time. They lock you down, which is kind of appropriate, considering COVID. Ryan Suter's one of those guys who can still play. I think, he gets lumped in with Zach Parise because of the buyouts, right? Zach Parise, obviously he and Wylde management had different views on his level of play, but what was never in question for Ryan Suter was that he was still an animal out there.
He can still go.
It's just that the Wylde needed to allocate that cap to somebody else.
He's a great fit. He's a great fit for the team. It's going to be an interesting locker room dynamic because the Stars have a pretty established leadership. So I wonder how he fits into that.
And the defenseman that I look at that they brought in that I'm like, okay, that's something, is Yanni Hakanpää. Carolina went out in the deadline to get him for their playoff run. He plays 11 games, great for Carolina, and then Dallas picks him up. And I'm like, that's a big right shot defenseman that's just going to stand there for the Stars and be a stalwart on the back end.
Dallas.
Like,
Dallas Stars style. Oh my God, if they make it, they're going to be such a problem.
Yeah, it's a serious issue if Dallas is in the playoffs.
Or, something that we should throw out there, if the NHL actually keeps to its word about the whole cross-check thing, who knows, it could backfire. But, I mean, come on.
You think there's issues with the team that plays really physical if there's a bunch of cross-check penalties?
They're going to be fine.
So, with a minute remaining on the Dallas Stars, and we have a little bit time to breathe here, where do you project them to finish and why?
It's very tough. Very tough. It's a very we look at it as a bad division.
Open is a better word.
Open,
because it's not bad.
No,
it's not great.
Yeah,
they probably have the worst collection of the bottom of the teams.
Fair.
Out of
they can beat up on the little guys a little bit more, right?
Yeah, but like outside of the Avs, like I don't know. Well, and I guess the Wylde are pretty solid, but there's still a complete jump ball of a divisional spot, and the wild card is in the factor. And Dallas is right in that mix.
Have to be, right?
100%.
My question with them is, can that style play in the regular season? So quickly, guys, what do we got? What's the projected finish?
Second in the division.
Wow.
Second in the division. Woo! All right.
Somebody's got to take a step back.
All right.
And it's going to be the Wild.
4th.
Okay. And I am going to say 3rd in the division.
Did you not have Chicago 4th?
I said, you guys put these solid places, and I'm like, no, they'll be in the mix.
No. You have to map it. You have to
Why
map
do I
it
gotta
1
map
through
it?
8.
We're over time. Come on, give us a name.
1 through 8.
Stars 4th, Blackhawks 5th.
There it is.
Oh, okay.